Good morning, everybody. We are here for our second session. I am trying something a little bit different. Right now, I am going to go based off of my computer instead of my phone. And it looks like my computer hid the screen that I want. There we go. So thank you all for joining us today. We will have Miss Tammy presenting. Looks like she's here. Let's admit her. All right. Hey, Miss Tammy, go ahead and unmute yourself and show your face.
Yeah.
I
All right. Can you hear me?
can.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, I am Tammy and I've been homeschooling well, my oldest is 21 and we started homeschooling him in third grade. So yeah, I've been doing it for a while. And there are still days I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, just so you know. So it's totally normal. Um, but I, unlike Deborah, did go to public school. And had a great experience. But when our kids started public school, um, I just remember my heart breaking because my 6-year-old came home and was just in tears because he was so stressed out about these tests that they had to take. And my husband and I looked at each other and just thought, this is crazy. I mean, he's 6 years old. He should be outside building forts and having a childhood instead of sitting in the desk for 8 hours. And so that was sort of our motivation. Um, and then our daughter followed the following year when she hit third grade. Um, and then our other two have always homeschooled, with the exception of one of ours. He went to a charter school for a year. Um, and I didn't really see us going on this path, but I'm so glad we did. Um, so yeah, and so my kids are a little bit older than Deborah's. They range from they're almost 14, 16, 20, and 21. So I have two that I have left to get through high school. So, but I'm going to focus more today on the younger side of things, as like with what Deborah did. So, um, I don't have any cool slideshows. Sorry, you're just going to have to look at this for a while. So, um, I think I've already said that too. Like another reason for us homeschooling is not everyone fits into a box. Not everyone is designed to sit for hours on end, especially children. And so that's the beauty of homeschool, right? Is it gives us the flexibility and freedom to teach the way that they learn. Um, and so there are technically four learning styles. But since we're just focusing on the younger crowd today, I left off the reading and writing style, assuming that your child is not a reader, writer, or fluently yet. But there's always cues you can look for that as they get older. But there's three main ones I want to talk about. There's visual learners and hands-on, or you'll also hear it called kinesthetic learners. And there's auditory learners. Um, most people are a mixture, but they do lean towards one, maybe two, more than anything else. So let's talk about the visual learner. So these are your daydreamers. Their mind may wander during auditory lessons. They kind of check out. Um, they love arts. They're drawn to visual arts, especially they love to draw. They'd much rather draw out what they learn than to write it down or talk to you about it. Um, they are really good at remembering faces. This is interesting. Really interested in remembering faces versus names. Um, so uh,
I
that is
auditory
true as we get
learner.
older too, right? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that happens as you get older. Um, let's see. They are those kind of kids that say, "Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. I want to see how you do that. Show me, show me, show me, show me." Um, so they learn best through picture books, visual charts, flashcards, visual schedules, videos. I love how Deborah said not to shy away from YouTuber videos. I think technology gets a bad rep sometimes. And we are fortunate enough to live in a day and age, it's a blessing and a curse, but it can definitely be a blessing um, to have so much knowledge at our fingertips um, for us and for our kids. And they can really, really learn a lot that way. Um, and so the best that we can support a visual learner, we can, if we ever, chore charts, put up chore charts with pictures, even if they can read, include the word and the picture. Um, Schedules for the day so they kind of know what's going on. But I will say this, yes, I'd love to see things. Um, but when you're displaying everything and stuff, keep it simple. One of my favorite quotes is when everything is visual, nothing is visual. So it can just get to be too much and they don't see anything at all. So, um, let me skip over to my notes. Yes. Of course, I said encourage art and drawing. That's great for visual learners. A variety of picture books with and without words, above and below their level. They will devour those kind of things. Legos, blocks, board games. They're great for all kinds of learners, but particularly um, visual learners. We love board games here. I could go on and on the value that there is in board games. So much there. Um, Everyone always, of course, wants to know the curriculum. So I'm only going to give you a few ideas to look into that I really have appreciated over the years. And again, these are typically towards the younger, but they do, some of them can grow with your child. So there's one called Draw Right Now, ABC Jesus Loves Me, 5 in a row. Um, and then read to your child. Read, 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 read. Read a lot all the time. And let your child read to you. And play. Oh my goodness, play. Play, play, play. There's so much value in play. They learn so much in play. Deborah and I saw that even in our, well, especially with our 2-year-olds. Oh my goodness, how they just learn so much. Sure, we taught them, our ABCs and things like that, but I think they learn so much more just by playing together. So don't think if your child is playing that they're not learning because they're definitely learning. Um, Fun fact, 65% of the population are visual learners. Another fact, public school is set up for auditory learners. So take that as you will. Leonardo da Vinci and Albert Einstein were visual learners. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we have our kinesthetic learners, our hands-on learners. Um, these kiddos are very active and they're high energy. And I'm pretty sure about 90% of you just thought of your boys. So, um, not all boys are hands-on learners, but they could definitely start off that way for sure. And unlike the visual kids who say, show me, they're like, get out of the way. I'll do it myself. I'll do it. I'll do it. And they embrace trial and error because that's how they learn. Let me take that apart and see if I can figure out how to put it back together. Um, and they love to build. They might be a Lego or blocks kid. They have to touch everything um, and investigate and see how it works. Um, they they're all over the place sometimes. Sometimes you feel like, wow, man, if I could just bottle up their energy, right? So, the best way that we can support them, or well, the best way they learn, I think I've touched on that mostly, is they need to be physically engaged. Role playing is also something they can really enjoy. Experimenting, manipulatives, anything that's getting their body moving. So you're going to want to keep them active. And Deborah touched on this too, and I loved it. Like when you're counting, it's okay to do that while you're jumping on the trampoline. They're going to retain it more if they learn that way. They're going to retain it more. Where you're thinking, how in the world are they learning anything? You can have a whole lesson while they're jumping on the trampoline, and they're going to remember it. Um, Sit on a big ball by reading. They can roll around on the ball while they read. That's totally fine. Flexible seating, like she was saying. We don't have to sit at a desk. We don't have to sit at a table. If that's what your child prefers, awesome. But for these particular type of learners, they're going to just shut down. They're just not going to enjoy it. And that's not what we want, right? We want our kids to love to learn because, I mean, you learn every day. your whole life, all the time. Learning never stops, even as adults. Um, when there are times, of course, when I do have to sit down and listen, give them a fidget toy, give them some Play-Doh, just something to keep their hands busy. When my mom had when it was just my older brother before they got me, when they would sit in church, she would give him a pack of pencils, and he would sit there and snap the pencils during the church service, just because there were no fidget spinners, okay, back in the 80s. So you just snap the pencils, um, because he just had to have his hands moving. Um, Writing. So they're probably not going to care for writing with a pencil. Okay. And that's fine. Let them write in the sand. Let them write in a salt tray. I remember my kids, I would put like um, different colored construction paper in a cookie sheet, little strips of it, and cover it with salt. And they would write their name. And I thought it was so cool because they could see the colors come through as they wrote their name in the salt tray. And I learned so much because that's visual and hands-on, and so you can get really creative. Hands-on learners are really fun, I think, to teach. Um, he got an old radio. Do they still make radios? Old radios, old VCRs. Shoot, go to a thrift store. Let that kid pick out a couple things. Give them some tools. Let them take it apart. They will love it. And that alone is learning. There's so much learning going on if you think about it. Um, and of course, like I said, Legos, Magnetiles, puzzles, all of that, where they had to hand on cook with them. There's so much to learn in cooking. I remember Miss Deborah and mine's boss from our preschool telling us that a lot of her daughter's math, even up through high school, was through cooking, not necessarily a formal curriculum, but through cooking. And they got to the like the college entrance exam or whatever, it was for pre-med or something like that. And she excelled on it because there was so many fractions and conversions and stuff that she had to learn while cooking, while a lot of the other kids struggled. Um, so again, it's really organic learning. Um, and science experiments, of course. Even all kids love science experiments, but particularly your hands-on learners. Um, and in acting out stories, um, maybe we did this a lot in our class, Miss Deborah and I, where we were doing a Bible story. And I tried to present it, especially towards the end of the year, 4 different ways for their learning styles. And one way was we would act out the Bible story. And oh my goodness, how much they enjoyed that and how much they would retain, like at 2 years old. So yeah, act it out. I mean, if you're doing Christopher Columbus, sit in the box, paddle across the ocean. I mean, they are going to remember those things. You're making memory. You're teaching them. You're fostering those relationships. You're laughing. All of the stuff is ever taught on. It's the best years, y'all. Um, so some really good curriculum choices for these type of learners is Matthew C. Uses manipulatives and videos. It's very good. Right Start Math is another one. ABC, See, Hear, Do series. Um, that is great for hands-on learners and even your visual learners. The Good and the Beautiful preschool. A lot of families do love the Good and the Beautiful, and that one will take you all the way through high school. Lift the Flap books. I'm a huge fan of Usborne books. I'm not sponsored. I did used to sell them though, but I loved them before then. But Usborne books are amazing, and if you get like the, can you see this, the Lift the Flap books, this one has been greatly loved, as you can see. But like how things work, oh my goodness, a kinesthetic learner wouldn't lose their mind. So you've got these bright, beautiful pictures, not too many words. But then let's see if I can get you the camera. Right here, and you lift the flaps. And there you go. And it's just all throughout the book. They're just, oh, they're the best books ever. And even up through high school, like this is not a flip flat book, but like my daughter had a world religion class with our old boss actually, and they used this book, and it's an book. So highly recommend those. Well worth the money, and they have a lifetime guarantee. So, but they're great. Um, only 5%. This is what it says. Only 5% of the people are hands-on learners. Kind of surprised me. I would have figured more people were hands-on learners, but definitely only 5% are like solely hands-on learners. So that's interesting. But I think every kid and every person has some learning that they'd like to do hands-on. Um, and I think you've heard this saying, let me see if I get it right. It was we retain 80% of what we do, 20% of what we see, and 10% of what we hear. So there's a lot of value in doing things hands-on. And what great way to learn life skills too, right? So then we have auditory learners. So um, these kids, this makes me think of one of your kiddos, Deborah. These kids will hum and talk to themselves and sing. Um, they enjoy talking with others. They verbalize things well. They enjoy other languages. Um, some of these kids are dyslexic. Doesn't mean all of them are by any means. Um, I have a child that is dyslexic, and he's definitely a very strong auditory learner. And I think part of that is because he compensates for the fact that he struggles to read. Um, they are going to learn best through music. Deborah touched on how awesome music is. Side note, if you want your kids to learn a history timeline, um, turn on, search Google or search YouTube and turn on Classical Conversations Timeline song. It's about 12 minutes long. It's super catchy. My kids love it. We would use that every morning to wake up. And yep, while we were preparing breakfast and stuff, and we were singing at the top of our lungs. And oh my goodness, what they learned just from that 12-minute timeline song. And it will be stuck in your head. Listen to it in the car. It's amazing. So even if you don't do classical conversations or classical education, that song, you'll yeah, you'll love it. It's so much fun. Um, audiobooks, so much value in audiobooks. From um, audiobooks you can download to even ones that you can watch on YouTube. I like the ones where um, it's just the pages of the book and they turn the book, so it's not too distracting. Um, there's even somewhere they highlight the words. There's even apps that you can get where it's audiobooks and they read to them and they highlight the words as the book is being read. So that's great for your visual learners and your auditory learners as well. um, so yeah, so much value in audiobooks. And discussions, talk. Um, they love they learn a lot through talking and discussing. Like you said too, your kiddo still remembers some of the things that you said forever ago. Um, and yeah, because she hangs on to that. Um, so yeah, talk. Um, like I said, put memory work to music. Podcasts. There's a lot of I don't know if you know, there's a lot of podcasts out there that are really great. Um, and then of course, what was oh help me remember. It's by Focus on the Family. Deborah, do you remember Ventures in Odyssey?
Yes, Adventures in
Yeah,
Odyssey.
that's
There's
a great one too.
also Liberty Kids,
Yes,
honorable mention, and the same maker of Liberty Kids did a whole bunch of Bible stories too. I
awesome.
cannot remember what they're called, but like the illustrations stick in my brain forever.
Wow. Another one that does a lot of Bible stories is called the Story Hour. Um, and there are all kinds of apps now that you can, of course, download. Again, don't be afraid of technology. It can be used to your advantage. It can be used for good. Um, trying to think of the other one that was really good. There's so many out there. Oh, the Purple Rocket podcast. Purple Rocket podcast. It has super interesting topics that are on like kid level. It's really neat. um, allow kids to discuss their ideas in depth. Um, I think this is so important, whether they're an auditory learner or not. Um, it's kind of twofold. Yes, they're learning. They're learning how to verbalize. They're learning public speaking skills. They're learning how to put their thoughts together. But if we're open to our child talking to us and we really engage, even if it's just 5 minutes, and when I say engage, the phone is down and you're making eye to eye contact with them, they will continue to come back to you. And that's what you want when they're teenagers. if they know that you won't listen to them talk about their awesome achievement that they did on Roblox or whatever it is, and they know the kids know if we're really not listening, y'all, they know. Um, then as they get older, they'll be like, well, you know, I don't really want to talk about that with mom or dad because they're not going to really listen. So stay engaged. It can be exhausting. I have a talker, and it can be super exhausting. But it's so important. The benefits outweigh the exhaustion. Um, Auditory learners do need a quiet work area when it is time to buckle down and get work done. They get very distracted by background noises, overstimulated. Um, so just make sure you set them up for success. Um, maybe like she was, like Deborah was saying, if they need to do work in their room, that's fine. If they need to go outside, do work out there where it's quiet, that's fine. And I can't say enough about getting outside. Oh my goodness, there's so much benefit to getting outside. Do as much school as you can outside. That vitamin D will do you so good. And it's a mood booster. Oh my goodness, it's such a mood booster. And what a better way to take brain breaks than if you're already outside. Go ride your bike for 5 minutes. Go jump on the trampoline. Go chase the chickens. I mean, whatever you gotta do. Oh man. Yeah. Um, some great resources that we've used over the years for this particular learning is Story of the World. It's awesome. Super, super good for history. And it's obviously the audio part of it is great for auditory learners, but there's also a book that comes with it where you can do all kinds of hands-on projects. Um, which is awesome. You can do as little or as much as you want. As Mike Deborah said, you don't have to do it all. It's okay. Did you ever remember getting through a full book in public school, like from start to finish? We did not, and we're okay. So you don't have to do it all. Um, Jim Wise is another awesome um audiobook. He's a great author, and his books are for ages 3 and up. Lots of history. Super good. Another great resource is Homeschool Plus. Also Sunlight, very big literature based, so there'll be lots of read alouds, um, which an auditory learner will love. Charlotte Mason is not a curriculum, but a style of homeschool that is big on reading. Um, and of course, again, I'm gonna say it again, play, play, play. Just like with all of them, there's so much value in playing, so much value. Um, about 10% of the population, are auditory learners. Um, Paul McCartney, Cher, Barack Obama, those are all auditory learners. Um, and like I said before, a lot of times things will overlap, and that's okay. But as you progress and stuff, as your child gets older and stuff, you'll see what they lean more into if you just observe and watch. Um, Deborah talked a little bit about the different homeschool styles, and of course, she touched on the traditional the most, but she also mentioned classical. There's Charlotte Mason, there's Montessori, there's child-led learning, or what some people coin as unschooling. Um, I think a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, unschooling. You just let your kid like do whatever all day. And no, yes and no. Um, it really is more child led. So I'm sure you had a class if you were in public school, maybe if you were homeschooled and you had a class where you just did not care for that subject whatsoever. And you were just bored to tears, but you had to do it. And sometimes we have to do things that we don't like to do, but let that be chores or something, not learning. So if your child is passionate about, I don't know, crocodiles or World War II or whatever, run with that.
Yeah,
Unit studies.
sharks.
Yeah, yeah. Sharks. There you go. I mean, unit studies are awesome for this too. I mean, you can incorporate sharks in every single subject, one way or another. I mean, you can get little toy sharks and count them out and add them. There's your manipulatives and visuals. You can um, make up rhymes to the tune of Baby Shark. I mean, there's so much, but if you let them lead the way and then offer them all kinds of resources, there's a term that's used in the homeschool community called strewing. And it's sort of where you just kind of set out things here and there that encourage learning. You don't force it upon them, but if you see that they're interested in building things, you might have like books like this out. You might have Lego sets out, magnet tiles, just things. So when they're not necessarily having formal school time, um, they're still learning and they're learning about what they want to learn about. Because if they're learning about what excites them, they're going to learn so much more. They're going to learn so much more. I mean, and it's true for us. Like, my husband's an electrician. Great. That is not my cup of tea. So he could sit there, I could watch a video, I could listen to him, I could do it some myself, and I would learn, right? But it's not my passion. So find what their passion is, find what drives them, and it's going to change, and that's exciting. I mean, go with it. Um, and to say all that too, when it comes to your standardized tests, don't be discouraged if, for instance, like if you take the Iowa, is it the Iowa Basic Skills Test? That's what we took in school. Um, don't be discouraged if your child comes back and they scored really low in history. Because for that, not all, there are a lot of tests out nowadays, thankfully, that are geared towards, just math and English and stuff. But the reason I want to say that is because, and you touched on this some too, maybe in ninth grade in public school, they teach U.S. history, but you're a ninth grader who's homeschooled isn't interested in U.S. history that year. They're interested in world history. Cool. Let them learn about world history. If you take a standardized test that's for public school, well, of course, they're not going to do good on the U.S. history part because they haven't learned it yet. But give them a test on world history, they'll blow it out of the water, and public school wouldn't know anything. So don't put too much weight on that. Another great thing too is in Georgia, it tells you how many subjects, like how many credits you have for each subject. So for history, so you have to have three subjects, but it lets you decide which three subjects. So, you know, it doesn't have to be what the public school is learning. Um, so let them decide. Same with math, even, you know, they can learn business math. They don't have to learn, everything that public school is learning. And so that's just another great example of child-led learning. You want them to follow their passions and encourage their passions. Um, so I would highly incorporate that in all the learning and in all the things that you do. Let them lead. You might get a curriculum and it may start off with learning about flowers and then learning about animals and blah, blah, blah. But they may see chapter 15 where it's talking about planets and they're like, that is so cool, Mom. Start there. Start with chapter 15. It's all right. So, um, and you'll probably start to notice as you get into your homeschool journey, just like public school, one size doesn't fit all, curriculums don't either. And Deborah touched on this. Pick things out what does work from the curriculum. Pick stuff out from here, pick stuff out from here. It's okay. Does it sting a little bit if you've spent $400 in a box curriculum and it doesn't work? Yes. Is it worth the stress and fights if you continue to try to push it? Absolutely not. Are you going to get your $400 back if you no? But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's homeschool is all about trial and error. Um, and that's the beauty of it, right? And it evolves too. I love how Deborah says, you're taking it from year to year. There's a curriculum that might work wonders for you, our homeschool style that might work wonders for you for 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden it's switched. And it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong or that they've got tired of learning. It's changed. And so you roll with it. You roll with it. But I would encourage you, lean into how your child learns, not how you learn, which can be tricky because if you're a visual learner, but your child is an auditory learner, we're naturally going to want to teach them the majority of the way visually. but we're really doing them a disservice. So we may have to change our mindset a little bit. Doesn't mean not incorporate visual stuff by any means, but lean into lean into that. Um, so they'll stay excited and they'll stay engaged. Because that's what we want, right? We want them to be excited about learning their whole life, even through the high school years. Um, let's see here. So, and re relax. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace. Um, don't compare yourself to the Joneses. Your 4-year-old may not can read till they're 10. They're going to be okay. You know, side note, a lot of countries don't even begin to teach children how to read until they're 7, right? And here we are trying to, like, I remember back in my day when we went to kindergarten, that's when we learned our ABCs, right? Now in kindergarten, they're already expected to know, like, how to learn 3-letter words. I'm like, wow. So nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to push them so hard, especially at this age. These are fleeting years. They go by so fast. Soon you'll have a 14, 16, 20, 20-year, 1-year-old, and you'll be like, whoa. Um, uh, yeah. So yeah, embrace the early years. Spend those years um, playing the games they make up, playing outdoors, board games, stories, crafts, um, go on field trips, go on nature walks. One of our things we love to do is we would go to the zoo, and for my non-readers, I would print a scavenger hunt of pictures of the animals or things to look for at the zoo. And for my readers, um, I might also include for them to find that animal, but then write a fun fact about it that they would read off the sign. So they had a blast because we were at this zoo, but we were still learning. Um, there's so much value in that. If I think back on my schooling experience, field trips is what stands out to me. Those are things that stuck with me. Um, yeah. And of course, play groups. We live in the CSRA, which is the largest homeschool association in Georgia, like even more than Atlanta. There are so many things that you can get involved with. It can almost be overwhelming. But there's something out there. Um, there's co-ops to help you, all kinds of co-ops. There's play groups, church groups, everything. The old concern of my child won't be socialized or weird is hogwash. And if you think about it too, the beauty of homeschool is that they get to engage with all ages. It's not just the kids their age all day long. So they get to learn how to interact with adults and the elderly and young ones. And there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in that. Um, and then we touched on it before, the organic learning, learn every day. You gave a great example of organic learning earlier when you were talking numbers, Deborah. You took that and you ran with it, and it just happened. Y'all probably weren't even talking about numbers. Your kid just had a curiosity question and it just rolled. And I love moments like that. I remember one time we lived across the street from a horse pasture, and we went over there. They had come up to the gate, and so we fed the horses. And then we came back in and we started talking, and I pulled out golly, I do sound like a rep, don't I? We pulled out one of these books, and it was about horses. And we sat there at the dinner table, and I read the book, and we had a lively discussion. It was totally unplanned and spontaneous, and that is the best kind of learning, I think. Um, and of course, heart above all else, y'all. It's about the heart. The education will come. The education will come, but this is your opportunity to mold them, and create the character. A great way to, like you said, starting the day in prayer and in Bible study, you're working on their heart, you're developing their character. And yes, there are curriculums and things that focus on that. But I mean, just them spending so much time with you and you being that role model, um, and you being able to have those moments. Like I know in a classroom setting, um, Deborah was amazing with this. Um, if we had a heart issue, she was so good about pulling that child aside. Um, allowing me to go on and keep the rest of the class engaged so she could have that one-on-one heart talk with that child because that's what they needed in that moment. And the beauty of homeschool is that we can do that. And even if you're homeschooling multiple children, if you have a moment where you need to have a heart to heart, let your younger one read to your older one. Or well, your older one read to your, I don't know, your younger one might read to your older one. Great too. Either way. And they can help out. And then you can take that child aside, you know? It gives us the beauty. We can slow down and really focus on what matters, which really is who do we want them to be when they're adults, right? What do you want them to be? How do you want them to be? Do you want them to be compassionate? Do you want them to love others? You know, yes, we want them to have a fulfilling career and stuff. Um, but you know, at the end of the day, that, you know, when someone passes away, the first thing you think about is not what they did for a living. It's who they were. So, um, yeah, just always keep the heart in the front and foremost. Um, just to touch some books that I also recommend that are really, really great. Um, Teaching from Rest is a great book. Um, Teaching from Rest is really good. Um, The Well-Trained Mind is another good book. Simplicity Parenting is also a great resource, and that's a great one when you're wanting to slow down as well. Um, and this isn't a book, but back to a curriculum thing that I thought as a side note. I don't know if you've ever heard of SnapWords, but it's a great resource out there. Um, I've used for my dyslexic son, but it works for any kind of child. But they're super visual, and they're very hands-on because they're using their whole body. So they see, I wish I had an example, but we wore those cards out. But they see the word and they act out the word, and there's a visual. If you look up sound words, it's super helpful. Um, it's another great resource. Um, let's see, did I have anything else to touch on? That may have been, that may have been it, but like I said, you've got this. You've got this. You're going to do great. What he's called you to do, he will equip you to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got
Yeah.
about 3 minutes left. I like doing this from my computer, so I'm going to do the next session from my computer too. I'm
Awesome.
really hoping that this recorded and it's saved, which is what it said it was going to do. So we're going to trust God that it all worked out and it saves and we'll be able to upload it. But thank you so much. I love this is a wealth of information. Like you spout off resources, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make a list of all these things. I need to look at every single one. But thank you so much. I love your
Of course.
perspective. I love that you bring to the table the out of the box learners. I love that you're like you're not fazed by traditional school and the way traditional school is done and trying to follow along with that. And I think that can be a good guideline to start off if that's how your brain thinks and if that's how your kid learns. But I think that we can just expand and we can pick from and see what works and see what doesn't work. Um, and so thank you. This was wonderful, such a wealth of knowledge. I am so glad that we have you in our community and in our group. And just for a second, for anyone who is watching this after the fact, please feel free to check out our YouTube channel. I am going to go ahead and upload everything after noon. So after our last session is done, I will fix all this stuff. I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on YouTube. But feel free to check us out and ask us questions. We have a messenger ability through the Facebook page. We also can check for comments on the YouTube, and we have email attached to this too. So we are here to answer questions. We are here to help you with anything that you need. This is the focus of why we are coming together today is because we want to build that community. We want to be there for each other and we want to share so that nobody gets left in the dark, nobody gets left behind, and that we can all use whatever uh, we can find new resources to help our kids learn in whatever way they need to. So I am getting the less than a minute warning. So I'm going to let you go. But at 10 o'clock, or 11 o'clock, we will reconvene for a Q&A. I'm so excited. I have so many questions.
Yes.
And my husband gave me some questions too. So it's going to be fun. All right.
Awesome.
We'll see you in a little bit. Bye.